There's a decision about media that many of you are going to face early on owning a new latex 800 or 700 series printer. I want to explain your options to you, and I want to explain why, and I want to explain also what's coming. I have Avery 2903 loaded on the 800 here behind me. This is a very stable, temperature-resistant, polymeric adhesive vinyl. I know that if I print right now with the media right back at the pinch rollers, okay, I've just done a cut, it cut the media and it rolled back to the pinch rollers. I know that if it hasn't sat on the printer too long, because sometimes if it sits on the printer too long, overnight or a couple days, it may put a bit of a curve into it. And in those cases, we do recommend that you unload the media so you don't put a curve. We have a front-loading printer, and that can sometimes print a curl that when it's printing can cause it not to travel smoothly into the curing unit. And that's understandable because we've put that indentation or that curve into the media by sitting on the take-up reel and going through the printer. So just be aware that can happen for some medias if they sit on the printer for a while. This has not. I just ran some material and I just cut it. I'm going to send another job. Because I know that there's a high degree of success with this media, running from the pinch rollers, I can print from the pinch roller. Virtually no waste. That's not true of all medias. There are some medias, usually the less expensive, what we call monomeric or economy vinyls, but not all. Those are the sort of the biggest probable culprits here, where if you try to print from the pinch roller, what will happen is everything will go fine and the media will go into the curing unit, but then in the curing unit, something happens. And it's not quite what we want. Certainly not what I want, probably not what you want. That's because the material isn't quite suited to print at the pinch rollers in this series of printers. You have a couple options. Option one, you can always tape like another piece of adhesive vinyl, make sure it's on evenly, and then have that come down the front. I know that can be sort of a undesirable step, but I do that from time to time. Option two is I can go to the front panel and roll it out either into the curing unit about halfway, or I roll it out so it hangs just past the door. Since going halfway is already most of the way, I just tend to go past the door for materials that I know are going to cause me trouble if I try to print from the pinch rollers. Now, most cast adhesive vinyls, an awful lot of wall covering, I would say solidly 75% of the rolls that I print on, I can print from the pinch rollers. But I also test for that. That is, I send the media over several times from the pinch roller and see what I'm looking at. If it happens to you that you're printing from the pinch rollers and it doesn't like going into this curing unit and it causes kind of some what looks like marring or scraping on your print, that means your print wouldn't be any good, you've lost some media, then you're going to have to roll it out. Or attach its own leader. Rolling it out for me, usually I come to about here, and that tends to solve it. As I mentioned in another video, with the 800 series, make sure, this is not true of the 7, make sure that you've tilted your roll to the rear position when you're printing. Just get in the habit of doing that. It's something I recommend. We do have a product which is in development, it should be released soon, called the Media Saver. And the Media Saver is a tool that you can attach to the media, which will allow you to print, and effectively it acts as a replacement for the leader that I'm asking you to consider taping onto the front of the media. It's a simple product, it attaches, and then once it's done, you can remove it. Most of the printing that I do tends to go to a take-up reel. And the distance, you know, from here to the take-up reel is so short, I tend to run long tiling type jobs, wall covering, vehicle wraps. So I send them, and then when I do, I go away, and that small amount on the front end, it doesn't trouble me too much. But on some expensive medias and things like that, I understand. I want you to be aware of this so it doesn't come as a surprise. You know, we know that some medias, they just aren't going to print well from the pinch rollers. Most of the medias I run, they print fine. Most of your canvases, heavy wall coverings, all of that stuff prints fine from the pinch rollers. But if you encounter it, just be aware of what I'm trying to explain to you, that you may have to either come about halfway into the curing unit, come out to the front door, attach, and make sure when you attach it, take a little time and make sure it's even and straight. Attach a leader onto the material. Sometimes what I'll do is I'll just attach a leader and then go right to the take-up reel and just save me the trouble. Or very soon here we will have our media saver, and when that arrives, I will be the first person to make a video, explain to you how it works, show you all of the virtues, and all of what I'm kind of discussing will be largely in the past for these particular types of medias. Thank you.